Hey guys, welcome to your channel. We are going to discuss some important Hindu articles today. One important article from the opinion page is a blueprint for a national security strategy. This article actually guides the importance of a combined national security strategy, and it also throws light on the current existing national security framework in India. The article brings the context of the current national security framework in India and if any reforms needed in the existing framework. So it is our duty to peep at the background of this article. When we say the background, first we have to observe the national security framework currently existing in India. When we say national security framework, then it goes back to 1998 when KC Pant task force recommendations were accepted and most of the recommendations were turned into reality by the then government. So India's national security framework actually derives its root from the recommendations of the KC Pant task force. This task force actually recommends a three-tier structure of national security framework, and many of the recommendations of this committee were accepted by government. For example, actually the committee was given the task to observe the national security status in international scenario. This committee observed national security, studied national security, existed at that time in United States, United Kingdom, Russia, etc. And based on their study in various countries, this committee provided their recommendation. And as per their recommendation, National Security Council was established. This National Security Council was on the line of USA. The same body was also in USA, the same type of body. The National Security Council, it is a very premier political body, premier political decision-making body regarding national security issues. It is headed, chaired by actually Prime Minister, right? But it isn't quite advisory body. In that way, strategic policy group, it is chaired by Cabinet Secretary. This body actually gives policy recommendations to National Security Councils. In that way, National Security Advisory Board was established as per the recommendation of the committee, and the chairman of the National Security Advisory Board was called convener. In that way, National Security Advisor, this post of National Security Advisor was on the line of USA again. And in that way, National Security Council Secretariat was recommended by the task force to establish. And at that time, Joint Intelligence Committee was existed, and Joint Intelligence Committee was converted into National Security Council Secretariat. This assess and coordinates among the various intelligence groups. Right, these bodies are actually bedrock of India's current national security framework, and all these are established based on the recommendation of the KC Pant Task Force Committee. Then some other existing national security bodies are Cabinet Committee on Security, very important, Defense Planning Committee, Defense Cyber Agency proposed, and National Security Advisor. It is very important to peep Cabinet Committee on Security and National Security Advisor. National Security Advisor, keep it in mind, he is not responsible to Parliament. Right, you might find a question in this case that whether he is responsible to Parliament or not. No, he is not responsible to Parliament. In that way, the constituents, formations, and functions of the functions and purposes, formation. What are the members? Who are the members? Who chairs the Cabinet Committee on Security? These are some important. One important thing is that the Cabinet Committee on Security is the premier political executive body actually. This is the real executive body who executes the plans or who executes the suggestions of this body. Almost all these bodies are advisory in nature. This is the only executive body, mainly executive body regarding national security. Cabinet Committee on Security is the only executive body regarding national security. Here it is important to view the functions of Cabinet Committee on Security on mainly defense appointment, defense expenditure, security issues, law and order, internal security, economic and political issues that influence national security, atomic energy, etc. Prime Minister is the chairman, External Affairs Minister, Home Minister, Finance and Defense Minister are the members of this committee. Some important internal and external national security threat to India. Right, national security. When we say national security, it consists both internal and external. When we say internal, there are various religious, religious incitements, some extremist movements like Maoist, based on regionalism, right, separatism. In that way, some external threats, external cyber threats, external nuclear weapon threats, cross-border terrorism, border issues, etc. All these actually issues constitute in India's internal and external security threat. Regionalism and separatism, terrorism, cross-border, state-sponsored nuclear threat, cyber threat, neighborhood conflict. Right. In detail, when we write any answer regarding India's current national security framework, then we have to examine to what extent national security framework are able to confront these kind of issues. And some important committees are there regarding national security. One such committee is Huda Committee report. So what are some suggestions are given by Huda Committee report? That India's national security framework must be able to meet the global challenges, must be able to address a secure neighborhood, must be able to confront internal conflict. It must be able to protect people and strengthening capabilities. It also gives recommendations that India should resolve the issue of Jammu and Kashmir as soon as possible. In that way, military preparedness of India must be very prompt and must be very prompt and powerful, so that it can confront, it can address any challenges immediately. Indeed, some important, another important committee is Cargill Review Committee. Try to find out what are the recommendations of Cargill Review Committee, and equally your duty is to find out that what are the recent efforts of the government of India regarding national security. When we say some needed reforms, then if we want to get good marks, then we can refer to some points, refer to some committee reports that what they suggest. One important committee is Naresh Chanda Task Force Committee on National Security, and what it recommended that the three services, Army, Navy, Air, are only a part of policy making formulation. It is equally important. You can find it in critical viewpoint also, right? You can critically analyze this viewpoint. That till now, India's Army, Navy, and Air Force are only a part of policy making body. They have not been given the real power regarding decision making in national security issues. So a real power delegation is necessary to them. Lack of energy between Ministry of Defense and Service Headquarters. It should be improved as per the task force report. No clarity on national security doctrine. Combined armed forces doctrine integrating all the armed forces. Separate armed forces with separate doctrine create conflict at the time of emergency. So as per the task force committee recommendation, a combined armed forces doctrine is needed, which equally encompasses all the three armed forces. So as a way forward, we can say that the National Security Council, National Security Advisor need to be given more real powers. Need to strengthen current structure with needed coordination. Coordination should be strengthened between the ministry, between the headquarters, and between the armed forces. More preparedness for the three forces. Another two most important and vital point is integrated warfighting force. A warfighting force eliminating all the discrimination, conflict among the three forces is needed, so that without any discrimination, without any conflict of command, and without any conflict of authority, they can work at the time of emergency. Centrality of people, that means until and unless there is a lack of unity among people, there will be lack of unity in defense. That's why in the base road, an effort is necessary to make people stand on united ground for the national security. Another important article, Eye in the Sky. This article gives uh, uh, context for both pre and mains regarding, and it gives a comparison between reset 2b and reset 1. Right, this comparison, this especially the comparison of reset 2b with 1 actually is the whole essence of the article, which bears very important for pre and mains. This reset 2b has both civil and strategic purposes, and each importance are mainly for crop monitoring, forest mapping, and flood mapping, and thereby contributing to agriculture, disaster management, and afforestation. And when we compare reset 2b and reset 1, that unlike optical remote sensing satellite which uses visible light, this reset 2b has used microwave radiation. When reset 1 has used visible light, reset 2b has used microwave radiation. So comparison between microwave radiation and visible light, and what advantages is provided has been provided to reset 2b, given that it uses microwave radiation. So as a result of using microwave radiation, the reset 2b will be able to take pictures regardless of weather, whether it is a cloud, whether it is light, whether it is day, and whether it is night. Because of the larger wavelength of microwave radiation, it will face less atmospheric scattering, resulting in to able to take pictures regardless of haze, cloud, and dust. Because microwave radiation provides longer wavelength here, that is why it will face less atmospheric scattering. Because of less atmospheric scattering, it will be able to catch picture in a cloudy situation, emit dust, emit haze also. Right. So this is important. Right, this is a very important point here, that what are the advantages of microwave radiation which has been recently used by reset 2b. So it is very important for pre and as well as mains point of view also, and it has used also microwave pulses actually. So while reset 1 had used visible light, reset 2b has used microwave radiation. And what are the benefits of microwave radiation? We have already found, and all these benefits can be used in, as I mentioned, agriculture, disaster management, and afforestation in a very prudent and efficient way. Right, in that way, this reset 2b has used X-band synthetic aperture radar. And this is very important because this X-band synthetic radar has been indigenously developed, and it is used for the first time, and it has used C-band. And that what this X-band synthetic aperture radar provides benefits, it gives shorter wavelength, resulting in higher resolution, resulting in more accurate pictures even of little objects. Here we have seen that in case of microwave radiation, longer wavelength helps us, and in case of X-band synthetic, it is shorter wavelength that helps. Because of shorter wavelength, keep it in mind if it comes into prelims. Don't confuse regarding shorter wavelength and longer wavelength. In which portion, which kind of wavelength has helped us, keep it in mind. You might be confused in prelims exam if you find these two terms, shorter and longer wavelength, and where it has been applied and how it has given benefits. Here shorter wavelength has given high resolution, and because of high resolution it will be able to take more accurate pictures and even of little of this, and it has strategic importance as we mentioned here. What kind of strategic importance it has given us? Even any movement of any little object can be caught by this X-band, therefore thereby giving very important information regarding any kind of intelligence input. Right. In that way, incline the orbit of 37 degree, it has given very frequent observations. In this way, these 3 points used by reset 2b has both civil and strategic importance, which will contribute to the Indian subcontinent from larger perspectives. Some other minor articles, but it has given some important lines from national column and front pages are: groundwater reserves estimate to be updated soon. It gives the point of the depleting groundwater in India and its related issues. So it is your duty to find out groundwater assessment survey, what is its importance. There is a mention of a institution, Central Groundwater Board. It comes under the Ministry of Water Resource. It is the national apex agency for providing scientific inputs regarding exploration, use, exploitation, overuse of groundwater, and thereby it gives policy recommendation. Another important article from a national column is over 100 kg of bristle worms seized at Chennai airport. Here comes important for bristle worms. It is important to gain knowledge here. Bristle worms, it comes from the polychaete, and it is also known as polychaete, and it belongs to Annelida group. Right, and it is important because it actually forms a part of marine ecosystem. It eats plankton, etc. And why it is it is a very good food for prawns. Prawns eat bristle worms, and thereby productivity becomes higher of prawns because of these bristle worms as feeded. And for these purposes, actually, bristle worms were smuggled. And the important point which brings the importance of this news is that it says that for the first time in this state, National Biodiversity Act has been applied, and thereby it brings the important context of National Biodiversity Act 2002. It gives important mechanism for equitable sharing of benefits arising out of biological resources and knowledge. And India actually implements this National Biodiversity Act to align with Convention on Biodiversity Act. Convention on Biodiversity Act, we all know, and India is a signatory to the Convention on Biodiversity Act, and to align with the conditions and provisions of the Convention on Biological Diversity Act, India domestically implemented National Biodiversity Act 2002, and under this National Biodiversity Authority has been established. It comes under Ministry of Environment and Forest. National Biodiversity Authority is statutory but autonomous body in India.